welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism, so if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out, and definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. All right, everybody, I have a huge announcement. I was going to say a special guest, the special guest, because this person is the world's authority in narcissism. I'd like to welcome my daughter, Professor Dr. Paris, as far as we know, the only recipient of a PhD and NPD. Paris, Professor Doctor, welcome to the channel.
Thank you. I'm picturing, a nice round of applause behind all of your screens, I hope.
Actually, you know what? It's funny you say that because just a little while ago, Paris and I voted. So this is strictly a non-political show. However, because this is a special event, Paris voted for the very first time a little while ago. We went out there and it was so funny because I was like a few feet away from her, and all of a sudden I hear all this clapping and cheering because it was her first time voting. Everybody was like cheering and applauding her. What did you think about that?
Well, it was like the lady who was checking me in, or whatever it is that they were doing, checking my ID and stuff. She was like, "Is this your first time voting?" And then she was like, "We have a first time voter here," and like everybody started clapping. It was really sweet. It was a little bit awkward because I was suddenly like the center of attention, but it was fun.
I thought it was really cool. Like, I think probably just because like a mom, I'm like, oh, that's my baby. I got my phone out, I was taking pictures. I don't know if technically I was supposed to take pictures in there, but took pictures of you there, getting the applause in the booth afterwards. I might just, guys, like, I know that a lot of people are like this. I literally have 15,000 photos on my phone, so there are plenty of photos of you, including a half dozen that I took today at the register, not the register, at the voting precinct.
Yep, that sounds good. Yeah, I know you were taking quite a few. I did notice that.
So you guys, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about Paris, with Paris today, with Professor Doctor, excuse me, God willing, my divorce is chugging along. It's going to happen. It's very frustrating for anybody who's divorcing a narcissist. Oh, Lord, it seems like the divorce will never get there. I'm sure you can second this.
No, I totally agree. Sometimes it's like you have like almost like two lives, because it's like you have like the life you're kind of planning out with the divorce going on, but then you also want to plan your life after the divorce, but you can't really plan that when you don't know what it's going to be. So it's kind of like a constant juggle.
It's very frustrating when you're dealing with a narcissist. Now, remember, this is the thing. It's like, if you end the entanglement with the narcissist, you have now entered, hell, because the narcissist is not going to be cool with that. They're not going to ever get to a point where, because this is the thing I can't understand. Say I didn't want to get divorced, right? But my ex is going ahead with this divorce. I really believe that there would come a point where I'd be like, all right, well, I really don't want to do this, but I guess I'm going to have to move on. The narcissist never does that. So if you have been discarded by a narcissist, I can understand how painful that would be, but just keep in mind the silver lining that you don't have to go through this endless divorce just over and over. Like, I'll just tell you one thing. So my ex and I have had, he just seems to find something, we have agreed on things, but he seems to find something wrong every single time the paperwork goes back and forth. So there was this orthodontic bill my ex was supposed to pay. It's $3,200. I mistakenly, back in June, said it was $3,700. Now, I realized my error hours later. I let my attorney know. She let his attorney know. Now, today, in November, I'm still having an issue with that because now my ex wants to make sure that there's something separate in the papers that say that I acknowledge that I was incorrect with the orthodontic bill. I'm not going to try to go after him for $500. Like, it's so absurd, but it's that type of pettiness that you deal with a narcissist. So it's wonderful. So just to be on the other side of that, Paris, do you want to talk about our special family plans we have? Well, I guess not family plans, mother-daughter plans once the divorce is over.
Yes, so I'm very excited. We're going to be getting matching mother-daughter tattoos. It's actually going to be my first ever tattoo. There are other tattoos I want to get, but I'm waiting for this one to be my first. We want to get the phrase "live free or die," which is the New Hampshire motto, tattooed, and we're going to get it on our ribs, which I know is like it's a really painful spot to get a tattoo, and especially as somebody who's never gotten a tattoo before. My tattoo artist is probably going to be upset when I come in and say this is what I want, but this is what I'm doing. I want to get it.
Yeah, it's too bad. I actually have a great tattoo artist in New Hampshire. So if anybody lives in Ohio and you know of a good tattoo artist in the Cleveland area, well, hit us up. Let us know. But yeah, we're going to get matching tattoos, mother-daughter tattoos. Although I know the ribs is supposed to be one of the more painful areas to get a tattoo. I know some people really, like, I think it's just like a pain threshold, or who knows. I think it could also be like how the tattoo artist is, that they're really like putting a lot of pressure on. But I have 4 tattoos. None of them were really that bad. They hurt a little bit, but I felt like it was more like rug burn. However, there's one tattoo. It's somebody's name I have on my arm. It hurt so bad. Like, it was terrible. It was excruciating. It must have been on a nerve. I don't know. But even with that, and it's just a name, so it took 2-3 minutes. It didn't take that long. So I think with the ribs, like, my point in telling you this is that even if it hurts really bad, I think it's going to be okay, because it'll be quick.
Yeah, it's going to be like, hopefully, yeah, just quick, straight across, and we'll be done.
Yes, I hope so. So maybe we'll once the whole divorce is over, I can be a little more, I was going to say more open on the channel. I am open with the channel, but I'm careful about my name and things like that, although Sharon is really my name. But Paris is really her name. But what do you think about maybe doing a video of us getting our tattoos?
I'm okay with that, like somehow like showing people doing it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right, so stay tuned. You might see Paris and Sharon. Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon and Professor Doctor getting tattoos live on Saving Hearts. So, do we have a date?
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Awesome. So let me ask you, Paris. I just think we like to have a little bit of fun. I just need a light video for today because it's been very difficult at the home right now. If any of you check out the community page, you'll know why. Paris, why don't we talk a little bit about moving forward? What do you think? Now, Paris is 19, for those of you that don't know. And she has, her entire life was with a narcissist. So, we joke around and have some fun, but there's a seriousness to this as well. So let me ask you, for other people out there who have any age child, it could be a young child, maybe someone your age, what do you think it's important for the child to know or to learn, or as they move forward into the world, like this general, I don't know, what do you think they should know about narcissism?
I know it depends on the age of the child. I found for me personally that knowing the truth and the whole truth it really, really helped me get through it. And part of it too was I witnessed it. There wasn't really a way for it to be hidden. It's not like it was a behind the scenes thing. Like, I saw my father really collapsing, like mentally right in front of me. But having my mom tell the truth and not like, oh no, he's gonna get better, that really did help me get through it.
That was actually, I've always been pretty open with my kids. Of course, like, age appropriately. But when my ex started collapsing, and this was also when I was learning about narcissism too, it was such a shock to me, and it made me physically sick. Like, I felt nauseous to consider even telling my kids some lie. Well, he's going to get better, or he loves you so much, or he can't help himself, whatever it is, to try to soften the blow for the kids. No, I was kind, but I didn't want, like, this was the thing. Even like right now, I can feel my adrenaline going. I didn't want my kids to suffer the way that I had, where I didn't know what was going on, and I kept hoping that things would change or that it would get better. The reality is that with everything in life, when you know something, you know it's going to happen, you know what's going on, to pretend that it's a different way, I think, is a disservice to you. So yeah, so for your brother and the two of you, I always told you, and it was the 3 of us going through this together, essentially.
I know, I think, yeah, it also helped, like, kind of unite us in a way, because we're all learning together, we're figuring it out together, and we're surviving together.
You know, a benefit too, which I know I've said this before on the channel, but just something to consider, especially if you have children, since we're going on this way. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you know, we have their playbook. Once we know who we're dealing with, or as Joe likes to say, what we're dealing with, we have their playbook. We know how they're going to react. So when you have a child, you know, a child that's old enough to understand this, I think it helps because you almost have like a little ahead of the time what's going to happen, so you can prepare your child. Because, you know, for most people, I mean, of course, you know, if you know me or know Paris, like you'll know certain things we might do or not do. But it's 100% predictable for a narcissist. So if we, the other parent, can get on the same page and we can offer our child, because the thing is with a narcissist, actually, let me ask you, Paris, do you remember when I first mentioned narcissism, what you thought?
I remember the first time you ever really sat us down was on the front steps. Out front, we were doing gardening, and I don't remember exactly what you said, but I know that was when you first started telling us that there was something wrong with our father.
I look at it almost like if somebody had like a tumor or something like that. You can't, it just doesn't do any good to pretend that it might go away, or this might happen or that might happen, and we should hope for this. I believe in God, so I believe that technically anything is possible. But when you're dealing with a narcissist and you have children, you are essentially, I mean, my pastor said this to me best one time, that he's like, you've always been a single mother. That's your situation. I think a lot of people, there's a reality that we have to accept. And it's so difficult to accept reality when you don't know what narcissism is, because it sounds insane. But all of us, you know, here I am with my kids, and we've been through absolute hell. But we're still standing, and we're so close to the other side now. So it's something you can get through, but just, I think personally, actually, let me ask you a question, Paris. What if you were younger? Say you were like 8 years old.
I mean, I think it's hard putting myself in an 8-year-old's shoes for it. I feel like you would need to tell us a different way, but I do still think it would be, I guess it really depends on the circumstances and how in person it is. If his mental collapse happened when like I was 8 and my brother was like 5 or 6, I still feel like to some degree we would need to know that something's wrong. Like we're leaving because he's not a good person. He's not nice. You don't necessarily need to use all these terms for narcissism, but when your kids are witnessing it, it's going to be easier to know the truth.
That's a really good point, Paris. Because with so many things, usually like a parent would try to hide things from their child, you know, if something bad was going on. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they don't do that. It's just, this is how it's going to be. They're not able to, I don't know, like they're not able to put their child first or think, oh, this might upset my child. It's just, this is how I feel right now. Like when your father came to the house with a loaded gun, he wasn't worried about how that would make you feel, or when you broke into the house. Well, how does that make my child feel? It just, this is what's happening right now, and you're going to have to deal with it. So I think, you know, for my family, which you're right, like the three of us, my son, my daughter, we were like a team. We're a little trio. Now, that is not my favorite thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I would rather have had a regular house. However, that did bring us closer. My only caveat I would have with this is because you want to be very careful. My kids never really had a great relationship with their father. They did always have a good relationship with me. So one issue I would just, because you don't want the narcissist knowing this, because I'm going to tell you, when you are dealing with a narcissist, you're trying to divorce a narcissist, if there is any whiff of you turning the child against the other parent, you are going to be in a whole world of hurt. So if you think that your child might go ahead and say something, I probably wouldn't say it. I don't know what I would do. Like, I'd have to figure out how I could talk to you and at the same time get things across. But what do you think, Paris, would happen if somebody told the narcissist? Like, if you told your father?
I think that would have, I don't know, like if I told him that you were telling me these things, I feel like I feel like that would make everything so much worse.
I think so too. You're in a bad situation.
Then he would because then I feel like at that point you're playing tug of war with the kid, because you have one parent who's genuinely telling the truth and trying to help it, help you, and then on the other hand, the narcissist is now trying to turn you against that parent. They're going to try to use you as a weapon for it. And you're getting manipulated by one person, and the other person's trying to help you, and you're kind of just stuck in the middle.
That's a good point. You know, a narcissist is never going to think, like, well, I mean, I guess I said this a minute ago, it's best for the child. But I feel, you know what, when you're dealing with a narcissist, there's so much chaos, so much pain, so much hell going through your family, through your life. The last thing you need to do is have the people who aren't a narcissist, who are trying to survive this, believe things that aren't true or live this way that other than the truth. You know, it's like your house is on fire, you've got to get out. If you're in a situation with kids, or even not kids, just by yourself, dealing with a narcissist, you are at there's an issue in your life that's so serious, it's life altering. It's either you need to do something about it or the narcissist will, is really how it is. A narcissist, you know, Joe said this a couple of times. He said this on the channel last week. A lot of people who don't understand narcissism fully will say things along the lines of, oh, it's their father, or it's not their fault, or it can't be that bad. That's the type of thing that will get you killed, that will ruin your life. I realized later, you know, because I didn't know what narcissism was. I had no idea. I realized later, when you're dealing with a narcissist, this is an absolute emergency. Now, I understand you can't always just leave, but you need to, my opinion is that you need to look at it like, all right, this is a crisis. You are in a situation where you have to save your family no matter what you have to do. And maybe that means you got to try to play games with a narcissist. I don't know, but I do look at it that seriously. Do you think that's an exaggeration?
No, I don't think so, because like if you don't get out, then you're just going to be stuck, and you're going to be like, my father did try to hurt us multiple times. Like, it's not just a mental thing at some point.
You know, I'm the type of person where if something was wrong, like say I had like a pain in my leg or something like that, I do not like going to the doctor. So I would just put it off. Maybe it'll go away. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, this isn't a little pain in your leg. This is like a huge open gash, the bone sticking out. Like, we need to get treatment immediately. Once you know, because the thing is about the narcissist, and I've heard that this is pretty consistent through most people, the narcissist gets worse. They're pretending to be somebody else. So they can be themselves with you, and themselves isn't a kind person.
I agree 100%.
So Paris, let me ask you this. I won't keep you too much longer. I'm just curious, when it comes to the drastic steps that we had to take to come out here, do you think that was the right thing to do?
Yes, I do. I think it, I don't know how to word this. I wish we had been able to stay back there. I do wish that, but I also realize that we really couldn't have. He would have probably moved back into the house by now, or we'd still be living, even maybe nothing would have happened. Maybe he would have just been like an eternal kind of game with him, where every time I go at the house, I'm checking to make sure his car isn't parked outside so he can try to talk to us or hurt us. It's better that we moved.
It's definitely better being out of that area, because being in the same town, the same area where he would always be stalking us, driving by, it was really intimidating. There's a freedom here, but also I feel, and it's not just being here, it's just, I don't know, it makes you feel good to have taken control of your family, because the narcissist, you don't even know, they've taken control, you don't even know what's going on. It feels good, I think, to talk about, again, the tattoos and things like that. We have a whole new life ahead of us. It's not, sometimes I think when you're dealing with it in the middle of it, or it feels like the end, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But a lot of times it's really the attitude, right? If you have a good attitude, this can be the beginning of the life that you always should have lived.
No, I agree. Well, I look at it in a way that in some ways, having this, what happened, having being abused by the narcissist, it almost gives you an advantage in some ways. Because I remember I was talking to you about this. I don't know if you remember this. This is probably over a year ago at this point. If you hear stories of self-made celebrities or millionaires or whatever it is, they hardly ever had a good, easy childhood. If
Yeah.
you're a self-made success, you most likely had some rough times in your past. So that's what I look at it as.
That's a good point, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think for everybody, it's weird. I just like as a woman, I think you just tend not everybody, but you're always worried about your weight or this or that. There's always like some issue or like, oh, I have a pimple on my face. Or once you go through hell, you really can get comfortable in your own skin and understand. All right, you know what? This is my life, and this is how I'm going to live my life, because there's a realization that you don't just get to have any life that you want. There's work behind that. You can't pretend or make the life that you have now the life that you wish it was. It takes action, but God, is it so worth it?
Yes, I agree. It's once you're out, it's worth it. It's worth the struggle.
So there you go. Just a short little video with Professor Dr. Paris. Just had a little fun this afternoon. Professor Doctor, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, I will be back with you. No, I don't know what day I'm releasing this video, so I'll be back with you in the next video. So I hope everybody has a great day, great night, great weekend, whenever it is that I happen to release this. And I will see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.